Hi, my name is Tristan Poole, and I'm the National Corporate Sales Manager here at InfoTrack. This video is on InfoTrack's AML CTF Compliance Center. We won't be covering all aspects of the AML CTF Compliance Center. In a previous video, you'll see me run through the 5 key steps your firm needs to take in order to be ready for July 1. This video is on screening your clients for AML CTF post July 1, and we'll be looking specifically at the KYC process. That is, screening individuals for AML CTF risk and how InfoTrack's Compliance Center supports you in doing that. Right now, you're looking at the Transactions tab within InfoTrack's AML CTF Compliance Center. This is probably where you'll spend most of your time. And when you send checks on your clients, they will appear in this dashboard you see before you. Their name will appear over here, and you have a search bar that allows you to look them up. So if you need to find someone from several months ago, that's easy to do. You've got the ability to filter the dashboard by risk or by the person who sent out the check, and we clearly flag escalated high-risk clients with you and clients with pending actions who are waiting to be onboarded. What I'm about to do is show you how to send out an AML CTF check on an individual inside of InfoTrack's Compliance Center. This is separate to screening a business, which is also known as a KYB or Know Your Business process, and that'll be covered in another future video, and reach out to InfoTrack in order to get that. Today is just going to be KYC or Know Your Client, which is for individuals who engage your business for a designated service under Tranche 2. In order to send out the check, you are going to navigate to the People tab and click on InfoTrack ID VUI. This will bring you into where you send out your onboarding checks from. What we'll do today is show you what it looks like to send the check out, and then what it looks like to receive it once the client has responded. We're going to cut out the part where the client responds to it so that this video can be short and sharp and focus just on the things you need to do. The first thing you'll do once on this page is come up here and click Start New Order. This is going to bring you into the Create New Order, and you can see that you have options to onboard various entities, but again, today we're just going to be looking at individuals. You have the ability to add another client here. So for example, if you're dealing with a couple, you can onboard them at the same time, but just know that that's a separate order. What I'm going to do today is cheat, and I'm going to click on Use Demo Data, which is just available inside my demo account, and it's going to pre-populate this form for me. What you need to know from today's video are the 3 key bits of information about your client that you need in order to place this. You need to know their name, you need to know their email address, and you need to know their mobile phone number, and you can see those fields on the screen in front of me. You'll also need to put in a matter reference, and this can be anything you want. That's just about having a reference for the order. You don't need to put their date of birth in, although you have that option. Click Continue. Now, a common question we get asked is how long does it take to do this? What you'll see here is that you can click Continue and go ahead and clearly send out this check. Sending out InfoTrack's AML CTF screening check takes roughly 30 seconds. Responding to it and onboarding your client once your client's responded to the check will take 4 to 5 minutes. I'm not going to take 30 seconds to send this check out because I'm going to pause and talk to you about what's on the screen, and I'm going to talk to you about CDD, client due diligence. The first thing to note is the price. InfoTrack charges pay-as-you-go pricing. That means we do not charge you subscriptions, we don't charge licensing fees or implementation fees, we charge a price per check. This price is a pre-July 1st check, and we expect that it will go up on July 1st as InfoTrack does its price rise every year on July 1. It will not be a huge increase. It is a flat fee that you can disperse alongside any other costs that you might be charging your clients. And what comes default is the verification of identity. Our verification of identity is InfoTrack ID, and we send InfoTrack ID more than 1 million times a year across various accounting and legal matters. You can set the standard of this verification of identity by clicking on this dropdown and choosing 100 points of ID if that's your preference, or single document if that's your preference. This means the check won't come back until you have 100 points of ID. It's also worth noting, while this doesn't relate to Tranche 2, this verification of identity product is totally compliant to the ATO and tax board guidelines for verifying client identity. So you have a client where you need to satisfy the ATO guidelines and the Tranche 2 legislation. This one line item will help you do both those things. You've got the ability to send this remotely to a client that isn't in front of you, or you've got the ability to perform this verification of identity in person by sending a text message to your own mobile device. The images or photos that you take will not go onto your photo roll, they'll go directly to us. Today, I'm just going to show you a remote verification of identity product, and just noting that you have a few options here, such as a video recording or a liveness check if you want to take extra security steps in identifying the person that you're dealing with. You'll see here also a PEP sanctions and adverse media check. When I tick this box, the price doesn't change. We are charging you a flat KYC process fee, so you don't need to do less compliance in order to pay a lower fee. If you can see here, I've got a verification of identity selected, and I've got a PEP sanctions and adverse media check selected. The first thing to know is that the PEP sanctions and adverse media check will not be sent to your client. That is a report. We source it independent of your client, and it'll just pop up on the screen as soon as you've placed the order. These two selections will probably form the basis of your client due diligence onto Tranche 2 AML CTF. If you go and look at OzTrack's starter packs, what you'll see is CDD comes up a lot. CDD means client due diligence, and you'll hear different standards of client due diligence, such as simplified and moderate and so forth. And in some cases, you'll hear about enhanced client due diligence, and that's just for your high-risk clients. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in this video. In terms of meeting your simplified and moderate client due diligence, you'll want to verify their identity and you want to screen them for PEP sanctions and adverse media. We also give you the option to send out a KYC onboarding form. Why do we do this? You'll see that OzTrack starter packs encourage you to capture the purpose of the engagement. This means capturing what type of designated service the client is engaging you for. So we send this KYC onboarding form to your client. Again, it doesn't change the price of the check, and it will take your client less than 5 minutes to complete, and will save the results of that KYC onboarding form against the client name inside your compliance center. That means the purpose of the engagement and various other risk factor details will be captured as part of your standard onboarding process. If you don't want to send this because your client is extremely time poor or resistant to admin, you can switch it off and meet your CDD obligations through other means. But just know that InfoTrack is supporting you in an end-to-end solution for all of your client due diligence requirements. What I'm going to do today is go ahead and click continue and send out this check. When you click continue, you'll need to put your own mobile phone number in, and you have the option to add instructions here if you need to. I'll click send client now, and this is going to send the check to my client. Now, I'll just note the PEPs and sanctions adverse media check has already come back. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to click simulate consumer. Again, this is just for demo purposes, so this isn't a button that you will ever see, but what I'm doing here is simulating the client responding to the check. So what we're doing right now is pretending that my client, Peter McVeigh, has received the check that I've sent to him and very quickly completed it, and that it is waiting for my review inside the compliance center. Obviously, your clients will take a little bit longer than 5 to 10 seconds to respond to these checks. And when they do respond, you'll be sent an email letting you know that Peter has responded to the check. I'll come into the compliance center now, and you'll see that this has been returned just here, and we've got an action waiting for me. So I'll come here and click on Peter William McVeigh's name, and this is your onboarding process. Earlier in the video, you would have heard me say it takes roughly 30 seconds to send the check, and it will take roughly 4 to 5 minutes to onboard the client. This is the onboarding that should take you roughly 4 to 5 minutes in most instances. When you come in here, the first thing that you'll need to do is review the verification of identity. You do this by clicking review, logging in, and responding to the identity documents that are uploaded in front of you. You'll need to go through a two-factor authentication process, and that's to view the client's identity documents. That's the only time we'll show them to you, and we won't put them in any of the reports moving forward. You'll also perhaps want to review the PEP sanctions and adverse media check that has been returned automatically, and also review the KYC onboarding form if indeed you've sent that to the client. If you decide you want to send that out later, you can at no cost. Reviewing each of these three items, if you've sent them to your client or ordered them on your client, will take about 3 minutes total, give or take. Once you've done them, the next step is performing a risk assessment on this client. You'll see under the starter packs that you're guided to assess risk at the client level each time you onboard. We've made this really easy. If you click complete here, we will ask you the key risk factors that relate at the client level. And by running through and answering each of these questions, you will be able to directly create your client's risk rating. What I'm going to do today is go through and click no to everything. One, so you can see how quickly it is to fill out this form, and two, so you can see the risk rating appear next to the client name. Once you're done filling out the form, which again will take you roughly 1 to 2 minutes, you'll click Update Risk. Once that's done, as I come up the top, you'll see that a risk has been assigned to Peter. Peter's low risk. The final thing to do here is your final onboarding checks. If I click complete here, you can see that there is a checklist of things that I need to make sure I've done in order to make sure I've met my AML CTF obligations. You can tick these one at a time, or if you're confident, you can click select all and then click save, and you've completed your final onboarding checks. Once these 4 to 5 steps have been completed, the onboard button will flash colored, and you'll be able to click it and onboard your client to your AML CTF program, and that completes the process. That will take you roughly 4 to 5 minutes, and then you will move on and provide that client whichever services they've engaged you for. If this client comes back as high risk for whatever reason, it may take you longer than 5 minutes. That's because you may want to engage your enhanced client due diligence process. I will refer you back to the OzTrack starter packs in order to make sure that you understand the enhanced client due diligence, or ECD, and client due diligence, CDD, processes. OzTrack's legislation and the starter packs are the authority on these processes, but what you'll find in the instance of high-risk clients, you will enter an enhanced client due diligence process where you are guided by OzTrack to verify wealth and verify funds. InfoTrack supports you in doing this by having our verification of funds feature. When you click this button, you can see here that you can send this to your client at $0 additional dollars. You'll probably remember the verification of funds feature from when we originally sent this out. So you can send this right away, but InfoTrack's presumption is that you might want to send the other checks first and make sure that your client isn't high risk so you can avoid sending a verification of funds. If you have to, this will be emailed to your client. They'll be prompted to upload 6 to 12 months of bank statements. Images of those bank statements will be returned to you to review, and InfoTrack's AI overlay will scan the bank statements for suspicious transactions and flag them to you. If you have to enter an enhanced client due diligence process, that doesn't mean you can't deal with that client. It just means that you've got the ability here to verify their funds and verify their wealth so that you are compliant under OzTrack's Tranche 2 guidelines while you deal with the client. Finally, in our demo today is escalations. OzTrack starter packs guide you to have a documented and defined process for escalating high-risk clients. This form in front of you does both of those things, and it's where your client-facing personnel can escalate a high-risk client to the compliance officer to come and review. You'll see in here that you have specific triggers and all of the relevant details, the ability to upload files so that everything relating to the escalation can be documented here. And then if we return back to the Compliance Center, you'll see from the dashboard, escalated clients are noted and moved to the top. So they're top of mind for the compliance officer to go in and review. Our PEP sanctions and adverse media check will also come with monitoring, so please be aware that you've got that moving forward as you onboard clients into the Compliance Center. That brings us to the conclusion of today's video. Again, just recapping, we did not cover everything InfoTrack's Compliance Center does. We did not cover all aspects of Tranche 2 AML CTF risk. We just covered the KYC process, which is onboarding an individual. If you'd like to see what it looks like to onboard a business or to see other aspects of InfoTrack's Compliance Center, reach out to your account manager to get those videos or to be invited to the next webinar we're doing. Once again, my name's Tristan, and thanks so much for listening to this video.